Fiancée cheated with my brother on our wedding day, so I dumped her at the altar and married the billionaire CEO who was watching it all happen. Now she's jobless, homeless, and watching me run the empire she could have had. I woke up at 6 a.m. on what was supposed to be the best day of my life. 3 years. That's how long Yusun and I had been together. 3 years of me working 70-hour weeks as an intern at one of Yunghai's biggest firms, pulling in 3,000 yuan a month while she climbed the ranks at her accounting company. 3 years of her saying she didn't care about money, that we'd build something together, that love was enough. I believed her. The wedding was happening at 2 p.m. Nothing fancy, we couldn't afford fancy. I'd scraped together every yuan I had for a decent venue and a photographer. My parents helped where they could, but they're working class people. No connections. No safety net. Just honest work and hope that I'd make something of myself eventually. Yusun said she understood. Said she loved me for who I was, not what I had. I'm an idiot. That morning, I decided to surprise her at the hotel suite. We'd agreed to spend the night apart, tradition and all that, but I wanted to bring her breakfast. Coffee and those almond pastries she liked. Thought it would be romantic. Thought she'd smile at me the way she used to when we first started dating. I used the spare keycard. Pushed open the door to the suite at 7:30 a.m. And there she was, in our bed, with my brother. I'm not going to describe what I saw. You can imagine it. What I will describe is the look on her face when she noticed me standing there. Nothing, no shock. No guilt. No scrambling to cover herself or explain, she just looked at me. Then she sighed. Actually sighed, like I was an inconvenience. "Sook," she said, sitting up and reaching for her robe. "Calm. Collected. You weren't supposed to be here yet." My brother had the decency to look uncomfortable for about 3 seconds. Then he smirked. Actually smirked at me. "Say something," I said. My voice sounded weird. Distant. Yusun tied her robe and walked to the mirror. Started fixing her hair. "What do you want me to say?" "An explanation would be nice." She laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A genuine one. "Sook, come on. You're a smart guy. You had to know this wasn't going to last. We're getting married in 6 hours. I was going to break it off after the wedding anyway." She said it like she was discussing lunch plans. No emotion. No hesitation. "Your aunt was going to give us that monetary gift, remember? And there's the insurance policy your family took out. I figured I'd at least get something out of this before I left." I couldn't breathe. "You've been a good placeholder," she continued, applying lipstick now. "But let's be real. You make 3,000 yuan a month. You're 26 and still an intern. I need someone who can actually provide." My brother stood up, pulling on his pants. "She needed a real man, Sook. No hard feelings." "No hard feelings?" I repeated. "It's just business," Yusun said, turning to face me finally. Her eyes were empty. "You're not husband material. You're barely boyfriend material. I gave you 3 years. That's generous, honestly. I should have felt rage. Should have shouted. Should have done something, but I just stared at her. At this woman I'd planned to spend my life with. This woman who'd told me she loved me last week. This woman who was supposed to walk down the aisle toward me in a few hours. She didn't even look guilty. "Get out," she said. "I need to get ready. And don't make a scene at the wedding. My family's already there." I turned and walked out. The hallway was empty. Quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. Ceremony started at 2 p.m. It was 7:45 a.m. now. I had 6 hours and 15 minutes. And as I stood there, staring at the elevator doors, something clicked in my head. A memory. Something I'd overheard at work 2 days ago. Office gossip about our CEO, Lee Eugene. About how her fiancé had publicly dumped her at their engagement party. How she'd shown up to work the next day like nothing happened, but everyone could tell she was humiliated. 2 people. Both betrayed right before the biggest moments of their lives. I walked out of that hotel a different man. The ceremony started in 6 hours, and I just had an idea that would either destroy me completely or make me untouchable. I showed up to my own wedding at 1:30 p.m., half an hour early. The venue was one of those mid-tier hotel ballrooms, white chairs, floral arrangements I'd spent too much money on, a small stage with an arch covered in roses. 200 guests. Yusun's family on one side, mine on the other. Co-workers scattered throughout, and there, sitting in the third row on the bride's side, was Lee Eugene. She wore a dark blue dress. Simple. Elegant. Her hair pulled back. She was alone, no date, no entourage. Just her. The CEO of a multi-billion yuan corporation, sitting at her intern's wedding because company tradition dictated executives attend employee life events. 2 days ago, her fiancé had walked out on her at their engagement party. In front of 500 people. Investors. Business partners. Press. He'd announced he was in love with someone else and left her standing there alone. The story had spread through the office like wildfire. Everyone whispered about it. How humiliated she must be. How she'd shown up to work the next morning like nothing happened, cold and efficient as always, but you could see it in her eyes. She was drowning. The company stock had dropped 6% since the scandal. Investors were nervous. Clients were reconsidering contracts. I'd heard whispers that the board was looking for excuses to remove her. She needed something. Anything. A show of strength. Of stability, and I needed a nuclear option. I walked past her. Our eyes met for half a second. She nodded politely. Professional. Distant. She had no idea what was about to happen. Neither did anyone else. The music started at 2 p.m. sharp. I stood at the altar. My best man, my cousin, not my brother, obviously, stood beside me looking nervous. The officiant smiled encouragingly. Guests turned in their seats. The doors opened. Yusin appeared. She looked perfect. White dress, professionally done makeup, flowers in her hair. She walked down that aisle like she owned it. Confident. Beautiful. Smiling at guests, accepting their admiration. She thought she'd won. Thought she'd squeezed every last drop of value out of me before moving on. She had no idea she was about to lose everything. She reached the altar. Stood across from me. The officiant began speaking. Standard ceremony script. Dearly beloved. Gathered here today. Commitment. Love. I wasn't listening. I was calculating. Running through scenarios. Consequences. Probabilities. This would either save me or destroy me. No middle ground. If anyone has reason these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace, the officiant said. I turned to Yusin. She smiled at me. That same empty smile from this morning. Then I turned away from her, and I walked off the stage. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Yusin's smile faltered. I walked down the center aisle. Straight toward Lee Yujin. The whispers started immediately. Confusion. Shock. Someone's phone camera flash went off. I stopped in front of Yujin's row. She looked up at me. Surprised but not panicked. Those cold, analytical eyes studying me. Trying to understand what I was doing. Ms. Lee, I said. Loud enough for everyone to hear. We've both been made fools. Both humiliated by people who claim to love us. Both standing on the edge of losing everything. Her expression didn't change. But I saw something flicker in her eyes. Recognition. Understanding. I have a proposal, I continued. Not the business kind. The marriage kind. Right here. Right now. In front of all these witnesses, someone screamed. Probably Yusin. I ignored it. You need to show strength. Stability. That you're not broken by what happened. I paused. I need to not be the guy who got cheated on by his own brother on his wedding day. Yujin's eyes narrowed slightly. She was reading me. Calculating just like I was. This is insane, someone muttered behind me. What do you get out of this? Yujin asked quietly. Just to me, a chance, I said. What do you get? Revenge, she said simply. Then we understand each other. Sook. Yusin's voice. Shrill. Angry. What the hell are you doing? I didn't turn around. Lee Yujin stared at me for 5 seconds that felt like 5 years. Then she smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a professional smile. A predator's smile. Yes, she said, standing up. I'll marry you. The room exploded. Cameras flashed everywhere. Guests jumped to their feet. My mother screamed something I couldn't make out. Yusin was shrieking, actually shrieking, trying to push through the crowd toward us. Security appeared from somewhere, Yujin's personal detail, I realized. They intercepted Yusin smoothly. The officiant is already here, Yujin said calmly, like she was discussing a business merger. The venue is paid for. Seems wasteful not to use it. She took my arm. We walked back down the aisle together. Yusin was being physically restrained now, screaming obscenities. My brother had appeared from somewhere, looking pale. Both families were in chaos. Half the guests were on their phones. The other half were staring in shock. And Lee Yujin and I walked straight to that altar. The officiant looked like he might faint. You heard the lady, I said. We're getting married. He stammered something. Yujin pulled out her phone, made a single call, said 3 words, make it legal. Then she looked at me. Really looked at me. You understand this is business, she said quietly. Just between us. This is survival. Not romance. I understand. Good. She turned to the officiant. Begin. And just like that, I married my boss. The ceremony took 11 minutes. Fastest wedding in history. The officiant rushed through the vows like the venue was on fire. I said I do. Yujin said I do. We signed papers her lawyer produced from nowhere. Witnessed. Stamped. Legal. Yusin was escorted out by security. Still screaming. My brother disappeared. Smart move on his part. The reception was technically supposed to happen. The venue had food prepared. Music ready. Tables set. Half the guests left immediately. The other half stayed because they couldn't look away from the train wreck. Eugen and I sat at the head table. Alone. 200 chairs and maybe 70 people left. My mother was crying in the back, not happy tears. Yusin's family had vanished. But the co-workers stayed. And more importantly, I noticed 3 men in expensive suits near the bar. Investors, Eugen said quietly, following my gaze. They came to watch me suffer through my employee's wedding. Now they're watching something else, good or bad, undecided. She sipped champagne. They're texting their analysts right now. Trying to figure out if this makes me look strong or insane. Which is it? Depends on what happens next. She set down her glass. We need to talk. Privately, we left our own reception 20 minutes in. Eugen's driver took us to her penthouse downtown. 43rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Yonghai. Minimalist furniture. Art I didn't recognize but probably cost more than my annual salary. She poured herself whiskey. Didn't offer me any. Sit, she said. I sat. She remained standing. Power move. I expected it. The company is hemorrhaging value, she said bluntly. When my fiancé walked out 2 days ago, it wasn't just personal humiliation. He was connected to 3 of our major clients. They're reconsidering their contracts. Stock dropped 6% immediately. Now it's down 9%. How bad? The board is looking for reasons to remove me. They think I'm a liability. Emotional. Weak. A woman who can't even keep a man, how can she run a corporation? She said it without emotion. Clinical. They're planning a vote. 2 weeks from now, so you married me to look stable. Partially. She turned to face me. But that only buys me days. Maybe a week. The stock will stabilize briefly because investors will be confused and curious. But then reality sets in. I need actual results. Real wins. Something that proves I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. The Tianlong deal, I said. Her eyebrow raised slightly. You know about Tianlong? I'm an intern, not deaf. Everyone knows Tianlong is the biggest potential contract this year. 100 million yuan. Manufacturing partnership that would lock in revenue for 5 years. The deal is dying, Eugen said. Tianlong's CEO is old-fashioned. Traditional. He doesn't trust a company in chaos. Doesn't trust a female CEO who just had a public scandal. His team has been stalling for 3 weeks. I sent my best senior executives. They've gotten nowhere. She walked to the window. City lights reflected off the glass. I need that deal closed, she continued. Not just for the money. For the optics. For the message it sends to the board, to investors, to every person who thinks I'm finished. Why are you telling me this? She turned back to me. Those cold eyes locked onto mine. Because this is the arrangement. This is business. You stabilized my reputation today by giving the press something to talk about besides my humiliation. Now you need to prove you're worth keeping around. Or this marriage ends as publicly as it began. Annulment. You go back to 3,000 yuan a month. I find another solution. We both lose. I leaned back in the chair. You want me to close the Tianlong deal? Yes, your senior executives couldn't do it. What makes you think I can? I don't think you can, she said simply. But I'm out of options. And you just did something incredibly bold and incredibly stupid at that altar. Either you're brilliant or you're insane. Both types of people can occasionally pull off miracles. What do I get if I succeed? You keep your new last name. You keep access to resources. You keep your job. She paused. And you get to watch your ex-fiancé realize exactly what she threw away. That's not enough. Her eyes narrowed. Excuse me? I close a 100 million yuan deal that your best people couldn't close. I want more than just survival. I want a real position. VP level. With actual authority. For the first time, she smiled. Actually smiled. You have nerve. I'll give you that. She walked to her desk, pulled out a contract. Tianlong. Prove you're not just my impulse decision. Then we discussed titles. She slid the contract across to me. 2 weeks, she said. Tianlong's CEO is flying back to Hong Kong in 14 days. If he leaves without signing, the deal is dead. The board votes me out. The stock crashes further. Everything collapses. I looked at the contract. At her. At the city beyond the windows. And if I fail, then we both learn an expensive lesson about desperation. She picked up her whiskey again. The Tianlong deal is our only shot at stopping the bleeding. 100 million yuan. 2 weeks. Fail, and the board removes me, And you go back to being a 3,000 yuan intern. Succeed, and we both survive this. She drained her glass. Choose wisely, husband. I signed the contract. Monday morning, I walked into the office as Li Yujin's husband. The whispers started before I reached the elevator. That's him. Can you believe it? Married the CEO at his own wedding. Gold digger, gigolo. I ignored them. Took the elevator to the 15th floor. My cubicle was in the back corner. Same as always. 3,000 yuan a month. Same fluorescent lights. Same coffee-stained desk. Huang Wei, one of the senior executives, was waiting for me. Sook. He smiled. Didn't reach his eyes. Quite a weekend you had. Yeah, Ms. Li mentioned you'd be working on the Tianlong account. He said it like a joke. Bold choice. That deal's been dead in the water for weeks. Then I guess I have nothing to lose. True. He leaned against my cubicle wall. But just so we're clear, you fail, you make the company look bad. You make Ms. Li look bad for trusting you. Some might say you're sabotaging her on purpose. Some might say a lot of things. Indeed. He straightened. Good luck. You'll need it. He walked away. I heard him laughing with another executive down the hall. I opened the Tianlong file. It was worse than I thought. Tianlong Industries. Manufacturing giant. CEO was Lao Feng, 68 years old, traditional, conservative. His company made components for basically every major electronics manufacturer in Asia. A partnership with him meant stable revenue for years. Our senior team had been courting him for 2 months. Got nowhere. Lao Feng kept stalling. Rescheduling meetings. Sending junior representatives instead of showing up himself. The notes made it obvious why. He didn't respect us. Didn't respect Yujin. Saw our company as unstable. Saw her as weak. I had 13 days. I worked through lunch every day that first week. Stayed until midnight. The janitorial staff knew me by name. I called Lao Feng's office 6 times. Got his assistant. Polite rejections. Mr. Lao is very busy. Perhaps next month. We'll be in touch. On day 4, the company stock dropped another 2%. News broke that another client was pulling their contract. Rumors spread that Yujin's grandfather, Li Si, the patriarch who'd built the family empire, was hospitalized. Stress-induced stroke, they said. The office mood shifted. People started updating their resumes. Quiet panic. Huang Wei stopped by my desk again. How's Tianlong going? He already knew the answer. I'm working on it. Of course you are. He smiled. You know, when this falls through, the board's going to ask questions. About why Ms. Li put an intern on our most important deal. About whether her judgment is compromised. He was setting up my failure as evidence against her. Smart. I ignored him. Kept working. Day 7, I finally got through to Lao Feng directly. Called his personal line at 6 a.m. Gambled he'd be in early. He answered. Mr. Lao, this is Sook from. I know who you are. The intern who married his boss. His voice was gravelly. Unimpressed. You're the 5th person your company has sent to bother me. I'm the last one you'll hear from, I said. Because I'm not calling to pitch you. I'm calling to ask one question. Silence. Then, what question? What would it take for you to trust us? More silence. You don't trust Li Yujin, I continued. You think she's unstable. Emotional. Weak leadership. But that's not really it, is it? You don't trust that we can deliver. That we understand your business. That we're serious. You're an intern, he said. Why should I discuss this with you? Because everyone else has been lying to you. Telling you what they think you want to hear. I'm just asking what's actually true. He didn't hang up. Your company's stock is falling, he said finally. Your CEO just had a public scandal. Your board is in chaos. You want me to commit 100 million yuan to that? No, I said. I want you to commit to results. Give me 3 days. I'll show you something your other partners can't. Like what? I've been reading his company reports all week. Found something. Your Shenzhen facility has a 12% defect rate on microcomponents. Industry standard is 8%. I can get you to 6%. And I can show you exactly how. Another pause. You have 2 days, he said. My office. Thursday noon. Don't waste my time. He hung up. I spent the next 48 hours building a presentation. Process optimization. Quality control protocols. Supplier recommendations. I used every connection I could think of. Called in favors from classmates at manufacturing firms. Cross-referenced industry data. Thursday, I met Lao Feng. 3 hours later, he signed 100 million yuan. 5-year partnership. The stock jumped 4% that afternoon. News spread. Investors called it a surprising recovery. Clients started returning calls. The board meeting scheduled to remove Yujin was quietly postponed. I saved the company. Friday morning, I walked into the office exhausted but satisfied. Huang Wei and 2 other senior executives were in the conference room with the board. I wasn't invited. They presented the Tianlong deal as their achievement. Showed my presentation, with their names on it. Claimed they'd been mentoring me, that my role was administrative support. The board applauded them. Recommended promotions. Recommended my termination for inappropriate relationship with CEO and unprofessional conduct. I stood outside the conference room, watching through the glass. They smiled. Bowed. Accepted congratulations for my work. I had the emails. The phone records. The proof. But would anyone believe a 3,000 yuan in turnover senior executives with 20-year careers? I waited until they finished their presentation. Let them have their moment. Let them think they'd won. Then I walked into that conference room. Apologies for the interruption, I said. The board members looked confused. Huang Wei's expression went from smug to annoyed in half a second. Suk, this is a closed meeting, he said. I'm aware. I set my laptop on the table. But since you're discussing my termination and your promotions based on the Tianlong deal, I thought the board should see the actual timeline. We've already presented, one of the other executives started. I opened the first email. Projected it on the screen. This is from me to Lao Feng's office. Day 3. Initial contact attempt. Note the timestamp and my email signature. Click. Next email. This is my research request to the Shenzhen manufacturing analysis firm. Day 5. My name. My company credit card. Click. Next one. This is the call log from my phone. Day 7. 6 a.m. 17-minute conversation with Lao Feng directly. Huang Wei stood up. Those could be fabricated. They're from the company server, I said calmly. IT can verify. Every email. Every document. Every time. I looked at the board chairman. I can also provide recordings of my conversations with Lao Feng, if needed. I documented everything. The room went silent. You recorded client calls? The chairman asked. I recorded my own work, I corrected. For quality assurance. Happy to play them. I played 15 seconds. Lao Feng's voice, clear as day, talking to me about defect rates. Huang Wei's face went pale. Furthermore, I continued, these 3 submitted my presentation with their names attached. My analysis. My process optimization protocols. My supplier contacts. I pulled up the original files. Note the creation dates. All from my personal drive. Days before they claimed to have mentored me. One of the board members leaned forward. Mr. Huang, is this true? Huang Wei opened his mouth. Closed it. Tried again. The intern was working under our supervision. I never spoke to any of you about Tianlong except when you stopped by my desk to mock me, I said. I have witnesses. Security footage of the 15th floor shows I worked alone. No meetings. No supervision. Nothing. The chairman's expression darkened. This is serious misconduct. It's theft, I said simply. Of work product. Of credit. And it's fraudulent misrepresentation to this board. What happened next took 40 minutes. IT verified everything. The executives tried to deflect, then blame me, then finally just stopped talking. The board voted. Huang Wei and the 2 others were terminated immediately. Escorted out by security. I was offered their positions. All 3. Consolidated into one role, VP of Strategic Partnerships. Starting salary, 20 times what I'd been making. I accepted. Then my phone rang. Eugen. Her voice was tight. Controlled. But I heard the crack in it. My grandfather collapsed. They're saying it's a massive stroke. The stress from everything, the company crisis, the scandal, the deal, the doctors are saying. She stopped. They're saying he won't make it through the night. Li Si. The patriarch. The man who'd built the entire Li family empire from nothing. Eugen's grandfather and the person who'd given her everything. Where are you? I asked. Private hospital. West District. But there's nothing. The best neurologists in the country are here. They've tried everything. I looked at the board members still sitting at the table. I need to leave, I said. Of course, the chairman said. Family emergency? Yes. I paused at the door. Actually, there's something I should mention. Something I haven't told anyone here. What's that? My uncle is Dr. Suk Tian. You might have heard of him. The chairman's eyes widened. The miracle doctor? The one who saved the premier's daughter? That one, I said. I'm going to make a call. I left before anyone could respond. 20 minutes later, I was at the hospital. Eugen stood outside the ICU, perfectly composed except for her hands. They were shaking. He's unconscious, she said. Brain hemorrhage. They've done everything they can. My uncle's on his way, I said. She looked at me. Really looked at me. Your uncle, Dr. Suk Tian. Legendary neurologist. Miracle doctor. Whatever they call him now. Why didn't you mention? Because I wanted to build my own life, I said. Not ride on my family's reputation. But right now, that doesn't matter. He'll be here in an hour. My uncle arrived in 45 minutes. Small man. Unassuming. Carried a worn medical bag. The hospital staff tried to stop him. He showed credentials. They went silent. He examined Lee C for 20 minutes. Then he operated for 6 hours. At 3 a.m., he walked out of the surgical suite. He'll live, my uncle said. Full recovery. 3 weeks. Eugen actually stumbled. I caught her. The head surgeon was stammering something about impossible and unprecedented. My uncle just shrugged. Difficult case. But manageable. He looked at me. Your aunt sends her regards, by the way. She saw the news about your wedding. Found it entertaining. Aunt Jo is entertained by everything, I said. Jo Mingju? Eugen's voice was faint. The business magnate Jo Mingju? My father's sister, I said. She owns half the real estate in Beijing. My uncle smiled. You didn't tell your new wife about the family? Didn't seem relevant. Well. He packed his medical bag. It's relevant now. 3 days later, Lee C woke up. They moved him to a private recovery room. Eugen and I visited that evening. He looked frail. But his eyes were sharp. You saved my life, he said to me. His grip was surprisingly strong when he took my hand. My uncle saved your life, I corrected. You brought him. Lee C glanced at Eugen. And before that, you saved my granddaughter's company. The Tianlong deal. I heard what you did. I did my job. You did more than that. He leaned back against the pillows. The Lee family doesn't forget debts. And you, Suk, you've earned something that no outsider has ever received. Something not even Eugen expected. He looked at both of us. I'm giving you real power. Not just a title. Not just access to resources. I'm making you co-executive of the Lee family holdings. Equal partnership with Eugen. Full authority. Eugen's expression shifted. Shock. Then calculation. Grandfather. This isn't negotiable, the old man said. He saved our empire. He saved my life. And I see something in him. Those sharp eyes locked onto mine. You chose to build your own path despite having wealthy family. That shows character. Now you'll have the resources to match your ambition. He smiled. Welcome to the Lee family, Suk. Truly, 6 months later, I stopped being news. The media cycle moved on. In turn, Mary's CEO at his own wedding became power couple transforms Lee empire. Stock hit record highs. Tianlong deal opened doors to 15 more partnerships. Revenue doubled. I wasn't the CEO's husband anymore. I was co-executive. Full authority. My signature on contracts carried the same weight as Eugen's. People who'd called me gigolo 6 months ago now called me sir. Funny how money does that. Eugen and I worked 18-hour days. Restructured divisions. Fired dead weight. Promoted talent. The company that was hemorrhaging value under a weak board became the most aggressive competitor in our sector. And somewhere in those 18-hour days, something shifted. It started small. Her asking my opinion and actually listening. Me noticing when she was tired and ordering dinner to the office. Small things. Human things. Then one night, 3 months in, we were reviewing quarterly reports at her penthouse. She fell asleep on the couch, paperwork scattered across her lap. I could have woken her. Gone home to the guest room I'd been using. Instead, I covered her with a blanket and went back to work. When she woke up 2 hours later, she looked at me. Really looked at me. You're still here, she said. Where else would I be? She didn't answer. Just came and sat next to me. Looked at the reports I was reviewing. You know this wasn't supposed to become real, she said quietly. I know, but it did. Yeah, I said. It did. She kissed me. First time since the wedding. First time that meant something. We didn't talk about it the next day. Didn't need to. Just kept working. But I stopped sleeping in the guest room. The charity gala happened on a Friday in December. Annual event. 500 people. Business elite. Politicians. Old money and new money pretending to care about the same causes. Eugen and I arrived together. Her in black. Me in a suit that cost more than my first car. Cameras everywhere. We'd become the power couple. The redemption story. People loved it. We were 2 hours in when I saw her. Yusen, she looked terrible. Thin. Cheap dress. Hair badly done. She was standing near the service entrance, trying to look like she belonged. Someone must have given her a pity invitation. Or she crashed. Didn't matter. She saw me. Started walking over. Eugen noticed. Her hand tightened on my arm. Want me to have security remove her? She asked quietly. No, I said. Let her talk. Yusen reached us. Up close, she looked worse. Makeup couldn't hide the desperation. Sook, she said. Tried to smile. You look good, Yusun, I've been trying to reach you. Your number changed. It did. Awkward silence. She glanced at Yujin, then back to me. I made a mistake, she said. Words tumbling out fast. That morning, I was stupid. I was scared. You have to understand, I thought you'd never amount to anything. But I was wrong, I see that now. You weren't wrong, I interrupted. She blinked. What? I was never going to amount to anything, I said calmly. Not as your fiancé. Not as the man you wanted me to be. You were right about that, but you're running an empire now. Yeah. Because you threw me away. I looked at her. No anger. No satisfaction. Just fact. You handed me a crown you didn't even know existed. That morning in the hotel, when you looked at me without a shred of guilt and said you were leaving anyway, that's when everything changed. Sook, please, I lost everything. My job, my apartment, my family won't talk to me. I know, your company blacklisted me. I can't get work anywhere in the industry. I know that too. She was crying now. Mascara running. I'm begging you. Just help me. A reference. A loan. Anything. I looked at this woman I'd once loved. Once planned to spend my life with. Felt nothing. No, I said. Sook. You had everything you needed that morning. A man who loved you. A future. A partnership. You chose my brother instead. You chose wedding gifts and insurance money. You made your choices, now live with them, please. Yujin stepped forward. Not aggressive. Just present. We're done here, she said. Not cruel. Matter of fact. Security will show you out. They appeared instantly. Yusun was escorted away, still crying. I watched her go. You okay? Yujin asked. Yeah. I meant it. I really am. My brother, I'd heard, was worse off. Last I knew, he was working delivery jobs in another province. Family wouldn't speak to him either. He'd tried reaching out once. I never responded. Some bridges you burned completely. 3 months after the gala, Yujin and I did something unexpected. We got married again. Small ceremony. Just family. My parents, who'd finally accepted that this was real. My uncle and aunt, who were delighted. Lee C, recovered and sharp as ever. No press. No spectacle. Just us, real vows this time. Not business. Not survival. Love, I married you out of desperation, Yujin said during her vows. I'm marrying you now because I choose you. Every day. Every moment. I married you for revenge, I said. I'm marrying you now because you're the only person who's ever seen exactly who I am and didn't ask me to be less. We kissed. No cameras. No chaos. Just us. That night, standing on her penthouse balcony, our penthouse now, overlooking the city, she asked me something. Do you ever regret it? That morning? Which part? All of it. Finding them. The altar. Everything. I thought about it. Really thought. No, I said. Yusun threw away a crown she didn't even know existed. My brother thought he was stealing something. He took nothing. I pulled Yujin closer, because that morning in the hotel, when she looked at me without guilt and said she was leaving anyway, that's when I stopped being the man she could use. I became the man she could never have. I looked at the city. At the empire we'd built together. Funny how betrayal works. Yujin laughed. Actually laughed. From 3,000 yuan a month to this, she said. Not bad for a wedding day disaster. Not bad at all. We stood there, watching our city, and I realized something. I'd won. Not because I destroyed Yusun. Not because I had money or power or status. I won because I turned the worst moment of my life into the foundation of everything I'd become. The empire was just a bonus. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.